Hi everyone, my name is Deanna Hansen. I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy.
And my name is Quinn Castellane. I'm the VP of Block Therapy and the lead block therapist.
Welcome to our Facebook Live class tonight, Feed Your Thyroid with Block Therapy. This is going to be a really important class. Your thyroid gland is in the front of the neck and it has so many functions, one of which is to control our metabolism. And actually the thyroid benefits every single one of our organs, so it's so important that we keep this gland fed and clean, and that's what today's class is all about. So before we even get started, the first thing I want to talk about is the alignment of the tongue muscle. We're going to be talking quite a bit about that today. And one of the functions of the tongue muscle is actually to help support the weight of the head. And when the tongue muscle is weak and it's not doing that, it becomes a hindrance and it actually becomes a weight to the top of the thyroid. So Quinn, would you like to share where the tongue muscle should be placed?
Sure, so let's all feel with your tongue. Bring the tongue to the roof of your mouth. So if this is the roof of your mouth, you're gonna feel your teeth. So right at the edge of your teeth, pull your tongue back about a centimeter distance away, and then you're gonna feel a ridge. Now we want to position the tongue into that ridge, so we're bringing it to the roof of the mouth, and then we're pulling the tongue back. Now we want to use the vertical strength of the tongue as well to help support the weight of the head and the neck.
So throughout the class, I'm going to be referring to aligning your tongue muscle. So we don't want you pushing the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. It's the entire pad of the tongue that we want to support that. And it might take a little bit. When I'm not conscious of where my tongue is, it tends to shift to the right and moves into the front of my teeth. So I always have to bring it back and down. So just something to become aware of. Don't get frustrated if you don't get this right away. It's part of the process of what we're going to be doing. So the first thing that we're going to do is warm the body up, get the breath going properly, and we'll start with the belly position.
All right, so the block buddy will be flat on the floor, and your belly button is going to be approximately in the middle of the block. And then just slowly bring yourself onto the block, and then you can start up on your elbows, and then throughout this position you can bring yourself flat to the floor.
So when beginning with this position, we want to spend the first minute or so focusing on the inhalation phase of the breath. That allows us to locate the muscles and to really tap into this diaphragmatic action. Most of us have been breathing through the muscles of the upper chest. That in itself is going to be a big issue for the thyroid gland. When we're using the incorrect muscles, it causes tension up through here. That blocks blood and oxygen flow, and it causes the thyroid to be stressed as well as so many other things. When we're tapping into proper diaphragmatic breathing, we're actually feeding the body 6 times the oxygen. So this is such a key factor in block therapy to really target and to integrate into your body so that you can get the full benefit. We are working to melt through the adhesions in tissue, and pain equals adhesion. So we ultimately are becoming pain seekers with this process. And when we breathe diaphragmatically, it's like we're turning on that internal furnace. When we breathe through the muscles of the upper chest, it's like a space heater. It doesn't do the job of heating every one of our 100 trillion cells. That's the work of the diaphragm. So again, just such an important muscle to work with. And when we're doing block therapy, your breath is always your guide. If something hurts so much that you can't breathe in a relaxed way, that is your body letting you know that we need to back off and do it less intensely. So you've seen now Quinn has come flat to the floor. If that hurts too much, go back onto your elbows. If that's too much for you, do it on a bed, and that will give you a little more cushion. So now we want to turn our focus to the exhalation phase of the breath. Allow your body weight and gravity to do the work as the block sinks deeply into the core. Even imagine the block is making contact with the front of your spine, and at the very end range of that exhalation, squeeze the belly small to move the last bit of toxins, byproducts of functioning, negative emotion from the tissue and out of the body. And if you can, we always want to be breathing in and out through the nose with both the inhalation and the exhalation. And just become aware of your sensations. You may feel a pulse, that's the aorta. If you've just had dinner or you've just eaten, you might have a little more pressure in there. But also notice as you're in the position how the sensation begins to change. the pressure fibers start kicking in, and the sensation becomes less intense as we stay on the block. We're going to take 3 more full, slow exhalations here. And it's always important when we're coming up off the block that we connect the exhalation with the movement. So take a nice full inhalation, put your hands under your shoulders, and exhale up off of the block. How are you feeling?
Good.
Good, okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the block to the left lower ribs, and we're going to actually angle it once we're in position to face up toward the sternum, and we're going to actually also have the block on the side. Unless that's too intense, you can have it flat. So you can have your left side facing, and we'll get into this.
All right. So again, just below the left pec, the block's going to be directly on those ribs, and then we're just going to turn it slightly upwards.
So you might even want to start with it straight, and then just once you're on it, just angle it slightly. It's only a 5-degree angle. It's not far at all. And then have that right leg out to the side to give yourself some stability. And to begin with, let's put pressure into that right hand. So we're actually rolling a little bit more to the outer aspect of those left ribs. And we're going to stay here for a couple of minutes, connecting to that full exhalation. Right now we're directly on top of the stomach organ, and the aorta comes right down through here. So again, you may feel a pulse in through here. It is so important that we open up this space, especially for people that are right-handed. I think 70% of the population is right-handed. And because we're dominant on one side, we end up keeping the dominant side free for action, and we compress this left side more over time from that consistent use of that right hand. That compression puts stress on your heart, on that aorta, and it causes your heart to have to work harder. It also puts stress on the stomach organ, which will affect digestion. So we definitely want to open up this space and breathe life into this space. So we're just going to stay rolled to that one side just for a couple of more breaths. And let's, for now, stay focused on that full exhalation. Feel the belly rising up off the floor, imagining the belly button making contact with the front of the spine. So in this position now, let's drop that right shoulder down toward the floor. So now we're going to be targeting a little closer to those ribs where they attach to the sternum. How's that feeling, Quinn?
Mm-hmm.
So once you get there, even if you want to take your upper body and roll slightly to the right, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling the ribs away from the sternum to create space through here. And again, remember, your breath is your guide. We never want to force anything. Forcing doesn't make this work better. In fact, it's going to slow things down. When you allow your breath to guide how deeply you go, you are most efficient at melting through those adhesions and keeping your body safe. If anything doesn't feel right, exhale up off of the block. And we'll just spend another minute or so here. So if you want to go deeper, you can again take your upper body even a little bit more to the right. Just twist and feel the block pulling away from that sternum area. And we're going to take 3 more full, slow exhalations here. And put a smile on your face. Notice how the sensation changes when you do that. And then when ready, let's place your hands under your shoulders. Nice full inhalation, and then exhale up off of the block. So you can stay right there. How you feeling?
Good.
Okay.
Good.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to go right into the sternum position. And we're going to be doing 2 different heights on the sternum. So we want to start with the block a little lower. Once you're in position and you're lying on it, from there, we're just going to slightly twist the block over to the right. So when we're lying here, we almost want to hook, for the ladies, the breast tissue, so we can move that tissue away. So once we twist it, we're going to be lying on it, and then we're going to be twisting the upper body so we can be pulling the tissue away from where the block is, creating that space between the sternum and the ribs.
All right. So the block will be on its side, and again, it'll be vertical. And just as Deanna showed, we're going to come directly onto the sternum, and then we're twisting it to
5 degrees to the right. Yeah, and we don't want that too high because we're going to be bringing it a little higher in the next moment. So once you twist it, and you can take, Quinn, what makes sense to you as far as your legs? Having them straight back or taking one leg out to the side?
Having them straight is okay.
Okay. So now once you've twisted it to the right, you can even grab the block with your hand and then take your upper body over to the left and get a sense that that tissue is pulling away. Getting a good feel in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it might just take a little bit. You can even take your left hand to the floor and just roll slightly to the right, so you're actually rolling to put more pressure there, and then twist even deeper. And it doesn't have to be like intensely painful by any means, because again, all we're doing is we're moving in through these layers and melting. So you want to be a pain seeker, but don't get frustrated if you don't feel the pain right away. This is really deep work, and there's a lot of buildup in this area from sitting incorrectly, from having the rounded shoulders, the collapse. So this is all going to be very helpful for bringing the rib cage into correct alignment, which is crucial to feed our thyroid properly. And let's stay focused on that full exhalation. And just notice also if you're getting any sense of referred pain. When I was practicing this class, I was feeling when I was in this position, my rhomboids were directly connected. So I know this is something I have to work on. Also, just so you know, from me creating this class, I have a little bit of bruising on the inside part of my breast tissue. So expect that, because again, when we're bruised from the block, it's not like it's a bruise from breakage, it's a bruise from melting, which is a very different concept. It means we're pumping blood and oxygen flow into tissue that's literally been frozen, and we need to keep working it. So don't let any of that scare you. In our member site, we have a video about the healing crisis. This is part of it. So just so you're aware, nothing to be concerned about. How are you feeling there?
Lots of referred pain in the back. Yeah.
Okay, good. And these are important things to take note of in yourself, because you are your own health expert. When you connect the dots in your own body, you learn what's causing what. So if a pain surfaces and you know where the cause is, you know how to take care of it in yourself. We're going to take 3 more full exhalations here. Now, whatever position you're in, let's just migrate your body back to that initial position. Turn the block so it's straight up again on the sternum. And from here, let's just literally lift it up a 1/2 inch to 1 inch, not far at all. And then again, let's turn it to the right. Again, just 5 degrees or so, not much. And then once you have it in a new position, you can again grab the block with your right hand. You can place your left hand on the floor to roll into the block to get a little more pressure if you need. And then if you can grip it and hook it and take your upper body over to the left so you can feel that tissue drawing away from the sternum bone. That'll make sense to you, Quinn?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And we're going to stay here for about 3 minutes, focusing fully on that exhalation. This is the most important part of block therapy. Of course, if you simply lie on the block and don't breathe, you'll get some benefit, but it's the combination of the heat from the pressure over time combined with that internal heating of the diaphragmatic action that is the magic to why block therapy is so effective. And let's see if we can slow the breath down a little bit. Exhale for a count of 6. Inhale for a count of 4. I even like to imagine black smoke leaving through my nose as I exhale, as we are releasing all of the waste from the tissue. This is how we clean out our body. In fact, they say that 84% of weight loss comes from proper full exhalation. And if you think about it, we have the opportunity with every breath to move waste out of the body. So becoming a really efficient breather does so many amazing things. It changes the game for our physiology and our health in general. We'll spend about 1 more minute here. And let's take notice of where your tongue muscle is. Let's start to integrate that proper alignment with your tongue. You can even tuck your chin a little bit as you place that tongue in position. Again, about a pinky nail distance from your teeth. Pull that tongue back and down, supporting the roof of the mouth. We're going to take 3 more full exhalations. And when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up. You can stay there. How are you feeling?
Whew. Good.
Yeah?
It's intense. All the way under my shoulder blade. The whole back part of my right side of the rib cage was definitely starting to release, which is good.
And if you think about it, it's the rib goes from the spine in the back all the way to the front. So if we have pain in the back, it's coming from that rotation of the ribs in the front. So now we're going to do the clavicle position, and we're going to do it a little bit differently this time because, again, we're going to stay flat on the floor. So I'm going to have you placing it on the floor. Quinn will demonstrate, and we're going to angle it, and we're going to hold it. So if you can show them how to get into that.
So we'll be flat on our front, and then you're literally going to cup the block.
No, let's have it on the floor, but I want you holding it. Yeah, so it's actually resting.
So resting, we're going to tilt the block, and then again, just below the collarbones is where the block's going to be positioned. And then you're going to hold the block as it's angled, and then lean into the block.
And for some of you, if you feel you need to get a little more on top of it, place your toes on the floor, and then you can just push your body a little bit more so you're just right on top of this. You feeling that in there?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So when we breathe with the muscles of the upper chest, and we're not supposed to, these muscles become hard and thick and exhausted. And that becomes a problem because that hardness is going to affect the carotid arteries, the main arteries supplying your brain, your eyes, your skin, your hair, like everything. Your thyroid gland is right here. The major lymphatic drainage sites are right here. So when these muscles are overworked and hard, that affects everything through here. So this is something we definitely want to take time, put love and energy into this space so that they can calm down and relax. And as we start connecting that proper diaphragmatic breath, we're giving them a break because they don't have to do that job. It's not their job to breathe for us all the time. It's their job to assist us with those forceful breaths when we need them, but not as a daily every breath kind of thing. That's the belly breath. That's how we want to be breathing all the time. Now again, let's tuck your chin slightly, connect your tongue. Notice when you do that, the difference in sensation on the back of your neck. As we strengthen the tongue, we control this area more. So we take stress off the thyroid gland simply by having a stronger tongue muscle. When it becomes weak and everything gets pulled forward, we end up with a big double chin here. That's weight on the thyroid. So when we strengthen it and we align it properly, it lifts that tongue off of the gland and it supports thyroid health. We'll spend another minute here. Again, let's connect to that. Exhale for a count of 6, inhale for a count of 4. And now from here, all we're gonna do is we're gonna move the block over to the right. Over to the right about an inch. And once you connect into that space, then grab the block with your left hand and twist over to the right. We want to get deep into this space right through here. The pec minor is a deep muscle and it really affects what's going on in the neck. And we want to get really deep to create space into this muscle. Do you feel it in there?
Mm-hmm. Especially when I extend my right arm out to the side.
Perfect.
And even rolling over to the right slightly as well.
Nice. So do you actually have the corner of the block kind of moving into that space?
I do.
Okay. So that's the goal. If you can try to get on top of one of the corners so it can move nice and deeply into this space. Slow that breath down. When I was doing this position as well, it was creating a lot of referred pain for me into the back of my shoulder blade. Mm. You feel that too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of anxieties in there.
And you always want to be moving to open that tissue up to the deeper adhesions. So everybody's unique in how they wind down. So play a little bit with your body, twist. You're seeing Quinn moving around, searching for pain. You can lift the arm up, move it around, but move slowly. The slower you move, the more adhesions you're actually going to melt through along the way. We'll take 3 more full, slow exhalations here. And when you're ready, nice full inhalation, place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up. How was that?
That was very intense for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm sure it was for most people.
Oh.
Now, can you get a sense of your right and left side? Do you feel different?
Yeah. Yeah, wow. Just pulling, actually everyone, if you can just pull your right elbow behind you. I feel like I can pull it like 2 inches further. That's super cool.
Beautiful. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to have you lie on your side. So similar to the armpit position, but we're going to have the block about 2 inches or 3 inches lower. If this is too intense for you, simply do the armpit position. But we're going to be doing a little bit of isometrics here to cement this shoulder in better alignment.
And this is on the right side.
On the right side, yes.
So we will be on our right side, and then again, you can just quickly get into the armpit position just like this, and then move it a couple inches on the arm so that you're on the tricep. And then if you want to start, you can just bend your elbow and rest your head in your hand.
And you can have your knees bent or your legs straight, whatever's comfortable for you down there. And again, if this is too much, just bring it up right into that armpit. But let's do a little bit of isometrics here because we want to cement this alignment. So with the elbow bent, let's push the arm into the block. So you're going to feel the rib cage lifting up through here as you push down. And let's see if we can hold this for 10 full exhalations.
Really make sure you connect the tongue.
And let's see if we can even take the right hand and move it a little bit behind us, and even take the head and look up toward the ceiling so you're getting a nice stretch and lengthening through this shoulder. And if you have to come out of this position before we complete, always respect your limits. Are we at about 5 breaths now? Okay. This is excellent for training the tricep muscle. I know, especially for women, as we get older, we often get this loose area, and it's not from a lack of working that muscle, it's from a lack of proper alignment. So as we're moving our tissue and our cells into correct alignment, we start to integrate those cells to work for us. When we're out of alignment, they basically are forgotten, and that's why gravity manipulates them. Are you done now?
That was 10, yeah.
Okay, so now you can just straighten that arm out. We're going to stay there. And then just lean into your upper arm and lean forward a little bit. And let's just take another minute or so and just really melt through those adhesions a little bit on that underside of the arm. You feeling that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just put a nice smile on your face and enjoy the sensation. Take another 3 more full exhalations here. And now, when you're ready, all we're going to do is we're just going to lift up slightly and place the block to the right side of the neck. So you don't have to come all the way out of position. You can just adjust. And let's just take the first few breaths just to be comfortable here. You've just been stressing your neck a little bit. Just find a nice position. You can even hold the block with your bottom hand if you want to for more stability, if that feels right for you. So once you're comfortable in position, I just want to do a little test here. Without thinking about your tongue, move your head into the block just for a couple of moments. And now connect the tongue. Tuck the chin just very slightly, connect the tongue, and now move your head into the block. When you do that, do you feel like you have more power?
I was going to say a lot more strength, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really profound because, again, we have all these muscles everywhere, but this tongue muscle, I remember hearing when I was a kid that the tongue is the strongest muscle in the body, which never made sense to me because I thought, I can't lift things with my tongue, but I understand now it has so many functions, but one of which is to have this constant low-grade work to help support the weight of the head. And when we start to strengthen this muscle, it's amazing the alignment of the neck, how much more freedom we have between the vertebrae. So if you have neck pain or arthritis in the neck or inflammation or an impinged nerve, that strengthening that muscle will make a big difference for you. So now let's just take another minute or so. You can search through here looking up toward the ceiling. Let's get a little bit of that posterior aspect of the side neck melted. Feels nice, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I love doing this one. I'll lie in front of the TV and I'll be in this position for 20 minutes sometimes. Once I got up though and my whole head was numb. I've learned that it's okay though. And also with block therapy, be comfortable. You know, use pillows, do it on a couch, do it in your bed. Be comfortable so you can stay and get the benefit of that melting. Minimum of 3 minutes per position, but ultimately, as long as it feels good with your breath, you can stay in position. We'll take 3 more full exhalations here. And when you're ready, nice full inhalation. Use your top hand to assist you as you exhale up. So what I want everybody to do, let's just turn your head to the left and notice this muscle that pops up. It's called the sternocleidomastoid muscle. And if you've ever had a whiplash injury, for example, this muscle shortens and it will freeze your neck in this forward position. So if everyone can just turn your neck, grab that muscle. This is a muscle we want to focus on. When we're on the side neck, we're not really getting to this very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to be first on our belly, but then we're going to roll to the side. Quinn will demonstrate. We're going to have the block on its high end, and we're going to have it right here. So we don't want it here. We don't want you strangling yourself on your carotid artery. We want it to the right, so we'll do it with a rotated neck. And if it doesn't feel right for you, respect your limits and then don't do this one.
All right, so we will start on our front, and then again the block will be on its highest side here, and then roll over slightly, turn your neck to the left, and then again right on that muscle Deanna mentioned, we're gonna have the block positioned.
And you have a lot of control here with how much pressure you apply. So again, it's funny because people think that the neck is this vulnerable area, and really it's this incredibly strong structure. It supports the weight of the head. It has this incredible range of motion, but we think it's vulnerable where it's not. So again, I never push anybody to do anything they don't want to do. If it doesn't feel right for you, don't do that, but this will be so helpful in freeing up the front of the neck and bringing blood and oxygen flow right to your thyroid gland. And smile. And let's connect back to that exhale for a count of 6, inhale for a count of 4. How's that feeling, Quinn?
Really good.
Good. And 2, if it's too high for you, depending on your body, if it makes more sense to have it on its side, play around a little bit and see what feels right for you. We'll spend 1 more minute here, slowing the breath down even more. Three last full exhalations. Let's very carefully place our hands under our shoulders, nice full inhalation, and then exhale up off the block. So, how'd that feel?
Really good.
Yeah?
That position will definitely clean up the jaw. If people are wanting to have a cleaner looking jaw, a sharper looking jaw, it's gonna really take away a lot of the compression, a lot of the inflammation that's stuck in there so that it can flow through. Oh, feels good.
Good. Okay, we're gonna now do that same whole sequence on the other side, starting on the right lower ribs. The block will be on its side. Once we get in position, we're gonna angle it up toward the sternum about 5 degrees. So Quinn will demonstrate.
All right. So again, you may want to have it on or just horizontal initially, and then again just below the pec, and then bend your left leg to its side for stability. Once you are in this position, just slightly angle the block 5-10 degrees up.
And to begin with, we are going to take the left hand over to the left side of the mat, and we're just going to roll the body slightly to the right. So we're going to be targeting the outer aspect of these lower ribs.
And I like to bring my right hand directly overhead. That creates more space within the ribs and a little bit more freedom to search.
And if that's too much for you, again, you can definitely put the block flat. I find actually when I'm rolling to the outer aspect, it's far more painful for me on the outside part than on the inside part. Now let's see if we can take the inhalation and expand the ribs where the block is with that in-breath. We're directly on top of the liver right now. The lower ribs are going to be the cause site for tension and pain in the upper back and neck. It's also what's responsible for pulling that whole upper body forward and affecting the head and the neck and the thyroid as well. So we can't ever just work on the area of concern. We always have to understand where the cause sites are to those areas. And the rib cage is the foundation for the head, the neck, and the shoulder joints. So any issues up through here, if we don't target the rib cage first, all the work that we're going to do will only be temporary in its benefit. We'll spend another 3 exhalations rolled over to that right side. And then let's slowly drop that left shoulder toward the floor. So now we're going to be targeting more of that tissue right near where the ribs and the sternum attach. And then once there, you can even take your upper body more to the left so you feel that tissue pulling away from the sternum. Now, let's again bring our attention to the tongue alignment. Notice where it goes, and let's bring it back to correct alignment. Let's take 3 more full, slow exhalations here. Ready? Hands under your shoulders. Nice full inhalation, and then exhale up and off the block. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good.
Okay.
That was intense.
So now we're going to go back to that sternum work. So again, we're going to have it first starting straight, and then once we get in position, we're just going to turn it now to the left about 5 degrees, and we're going to have it on 2 heights. So we want to start with it a little lower, and then we're going to move it a little higher, only about 1 inch.
All right, so we'll be flat on our front. The block will be on its side, and again, we'll start a little bit lower. And then slowly bring yourself directly onto the block. And then, sorry, we're twisting it
to the left.
To the left.
Yeah. And I would even start just a smidgen lower on you. And again, for the women, you want to try to hook that breast tissue and then pull it away as you twist the block, and then we can take our upper body over to the right to draw that tissue away. So you can grab onto the block with your hand as you want to twist. You can also take your right hand and push it into the floor, so you roll a little bit to the left so you can get a little more pressure into the left side here. And Quinn, if you have any added instruction.
Just once you get into the position, it's just follow the pain. That's always the key.
Become a pain seeker. Align the tongue. Put a smile on your face. And again, notice if you're sensing any referred pain. If you are, if that pain surfaces, you'll know where to go. We'll spend another minute here. Let's see if we can slow that exhalation down. Exhale for 6, inhale for 4. Feel the belly rising up into the body with that full exhalation. When we learn how to breathe properly, we don't have to do abdominal crunches or belly work, because the breath work is the belly work on a continual basis. So when we really tap into this habit of diaphragmatic breathing, that's what's going to be the game changer for your size and your shape. Okay, now let's slowly migrate back to the neutral position. Let's bring the block back to straight, and then let's slide it up 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And then again, we're going to turn it to the left. So now we're just targeting a little bit higher up. Again, see if you can hook that breast tissue almost, grab onto the block, and initially you can roll over to the left to put more pressure on, and then twist to the right, drawing that block and that tissue away from the sternum. Tuck the chin, align the tongue.
And bringing your right hand to the right side of the block and then pushing into the block, that really helps pull the fascia away from the sternum as you twist to the right.
spend another minute here, really slowing the breath down. There's so much benefit from doing this work. Again, your thymus gland is under the sternum, your heart, your lungs. This will help with your breathing if you have any allergies, asthma, if you get colds frequently. This is an area that we definitely want to target. And for heart health, when we have all this pressure, it compresses that muscle, so now it has to work harder. When we create space and we align everything properly, everything works with ease. Okay, let's place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up. You starting to balance out the sides now?
Yeah, definitely. Whew. All right.
A little intense?
Yeah, this is intense. Yeah.
Good.
This is an area that I need to focus on quite a bit too. Right now I'm going through a little bit of a shift, so it's quite intense right now.
You doing okay there?
I'm doing great, yeah.
Okay, good. So now let's go back and do the clavicle position again.
All right. So I'll have my head this way.
Yeah.
So again, just lay flat on your front and then angle the block towards you slightly. And then right under the collarbones, the block will be positioned. And then you can, as you're holding onto the block, lean into the block.
And you really can't do this position too much because, again, we've been chronic chest breathers. These muscles have been overworked our whole lives, really. Pain, fear, and stress cause us to reactively hold the breath, and they take us from being the diaphragmatic breather and teaches us to become the chest breather. Because when we reactively hold the breath, our body's still going to pull oxygen in, but it's the diaphragmatic freeze that happens, causing us to kick in these secondary muscles. But this is like the trolling motor compared to the inboard motor. We want to use that powerful engine to drive our bodies through our life as opposed to this secondary engine that is really not meant to do the job of what the diaphragm is supposed to do, which is to feed every one of our 100 trillion cells. Align the tongue. Exhale for a count of 6. We'll take 3 more full slow exhalations here. And then from here, let's simply slide the block about an inch to the left. And now again, we want to be targeting that really deep pec minor attachment area. So once you get there, you can actually grab the block with your right hand and twist over to the left and pull that tissue away from here. It gets so thick and bunchy here, especially if we've been in front of a computer all day in this very negative alignment. Everything gets jammed through here. So we want to create as much length and space in here as possible. So Quinn, again, if you have any guidance for people.
Again, bringing that left arm out to the side, extending it fully or to whatever degree that you can handle. I find that really gets deep because that opens up the chest. Then you're able to really roll over to the left part of the block and use that corner to dig into the pec minor. But you're also going to feel this within the ribs, and then you may start feeling that referred pain in the back.
Are you feeling it through here?
Not yet. On the right side, I was feeling it immediately, but I've been spending a lot of time on this left side on my own, so I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as intense yet.
Align the tongue. And just really pay attention. Every time you align the tongue, just notice how it feels to the back of the neck. What ultimately happens over time from sitting incorrectly is we collapse, and then we get jamming in the back of the neck, we get a ballooning in the belly, we have all of this collapse happening, and that really affects that. So when we, and of course it's bulging the thyroid and the tongue and all that stuff through here. So when we lift that rib cage up and we lengthen the back of the neck and we create space for everything, there's better flow. We take all those blockages or beaver downs out of the way so the blood and oxygen can flow freely to the cells to drop that oxygen off and to pick up the waste to keep the cells clean as well. We'll take 3 more full exhalations here. And then when you're ready, place your hands under your shoulders and exhale up. Doing good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to go into that tricep strengthening one.
Yes. All right, so we will be on our left side. And again, you can just put it into the armpit position to start and then move it a couple inches down onto your left tricep.
And just get your knees and your legs comfortable, whatever you need to do to feel nice and stable. And then once in position, let's have that elbow bent, and then let's push the arm into the block as we feel the ribs lifting up through here. And to just do this position passively, just bring it right up into that armpit if this is too much torquing for you. And we're going to be here for 10 full exhalations. So again, this is where you really want to work that tongue muscle to help support the weight of the head in position. And if you can even start to take your left hand behind you slightly to really open up that shoulder joint and look to the right. Get a nice lengthening in through this area. You're at about 6 breaths now, I think?
6 just completed.
Okay. So 3 more. Let's see if you can really push down and lift these ribs up, up, up. Beautiful. But again, respect your limits. Okay, and then relax. You can let that arm straight. Take your upper arm toward the floor and just lean forward, and then we're just going to spend a little time melting through the underside of the arm here. You may feel some interesting sensations as we're really on top of a lot of the roadways and channels for blood and oxygen flow here, as well as the nerve flow. So don't be surprised if you feel any weird sensations in your hands. And we'll take 3 more full exhalations here. And then you can just lean into your top hand, lift up, and we're going to now put the block on the left side of the neck. And for the first minute, just really be relaxed. Find a nice, comfortable position for yourself. And then let's connect into that full exhalation. And again, I want you to do the test. Without thinking of your tongue alignment, push your neck into the block with as much pressure as you can that feels right for you. Just notice how much power you have to do that. And now connect your tongue. Tuck the chin just very slightly, align the tongue, and now push. And just notice how much more power you have. Do you notice, Quinn?
Oh, night and day difference, yeah.
Good. We're adding another whole muscle into the equation of doing the work for us when we add that tongue muscle in. So now let's just take a couple of minutes and just explore as you start looking up toward the ceiling. Let's get the posterior aspect of the side neck, working those muscles that are so fatigued back there from trying to hold up the weight of the head. I watched on Dr. Oz once, he mentioned that the head weighs approximately 10 pounds. When out of alignment, it can be up to 100-pound force on the muscles of the back of the neck and upper back. So that's pretty profound when we lean forward, how much pressure is being created here. So by aligning the rib cage first and strengthening the tongue, you're bringing everything into balance. So those muscles don't have to do jobs that isn't their job to do. That's why we have pain. We're asking certain cells to do things that really isn't their function. So they're having to do their job plus the other jobs. And just like people, we fatigue, or they fatigue. Now you can just slowly start taking your head back to that neutral side position. Nice and slow, stopping anywhere along the way that you want to pump some blood and oxygen into that tissue with your breath. And when you're ready, just lean into the top hand and slowly exhale up and off. And then again, let's come back up to sitting. And I just want you to take your head to the left to pop this sternocleidomastoid muscle out. You can see when I turn how it pops up. So this is what we want to target. So again, we're going to approach this first on our front. We're just going to turn slightly, but then we'll turn the head, and then we'll have the block on the high end. And again, we don't want to have it in the front of the throat. We still want to have it on the side.
Perfect. All right, so we will be on our front to start. And again, on the high side if you can. And then roll the neck slightly to the side.
I still want you having, you're still too much on your side. I want you having your upper body. There you go. That's how we want it. Feel the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a different sensation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's quite lovely though, because there's just so much tension in through here, and we just don't even realize how short these muscles get, and that seals our neck in this forward alignment. So by creating that space through here, it's going to make it easier to bring the neck back into correct alignment. Let's play with that breath a little bit now. Let's still exhale for the count of 6, but after that full exhalation, let's hold for 2 seconds before engaging the inhalation. It's amazing, the more control you have over the diaphragm, the calmer we feel inside. We can be in a very stressful situation, but if we have control of our breath, our internal environment is still at peace, because with every exhalation, we are removing the stress. Similarly, if we're in a calm space, but our internal world is in stress because of the chest breather, then we're in chaos inside, even though there's no reason to be. So tapping into this breath, it actually changes the brain pattern to a more relaxed state. So just anytime you're having a moment, take a moment to get away and just connect to that breath and see how it changes how you feel. We'll spend 1 more minute here. And back to the breath. That's why laughter yoga is so wonderful. When you're laughing, you're really actively exhaling with laughter. So anytime you're having stress, see if you can just prompt yourself to laugh, and that's going to actively push a lot of negative energy out of your body. Now let's very slowly place our hands under our shoulders and exhale up.
That's a new favorite position, I think.
Yeah?
I thought you tapped my right upper back at one point, but I realized it's just a cossack.
You mean when you were just in that position?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't touch you. I did when you were in the that position.
No, I realized it was just right under my shoulder blade. It was like a little yank almost. That was weird.
So now you've been struggling with a little bit of neck pain. How's it feeling right now?
It's feeling a lot calmer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot better.
Good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to dive down into the hands. And the reason we're going to do the hand and the wrist is because when we are like this, fists tense, palms facing the back of the body, that holding pattern is going to continue to pull the upper arm out of alignment and cause stress and keep pulling us back into that system. When we're doing the lower body, similarly with the calves, if we don't release the calves and we spend all this time on the quads and the pelvis, as soon as we take that step, the frozen fascia on the calves is going to keep pulling us out of alignment. So we definitely want to free this area up through here. In a perfect world, we'd be working everything all the way down, but for the sake of time, we definitely want to free this up. So this position came from our wonderful teacher, Lee, in Montreal. So Quinn, let's start with the right hand on your back, and you can guide people. Starting on the wrist, then we'll go to the hand and the fingers.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
All right, so let's all just lay on our back. And then we're going to have the block flat on the floor, but we're going to position it directly under our sacrum, so just above the butt. And now once the block is under, you're going to rest again. We're going to start with the wrist, so just above the hand. And we're going to position it so that your palm is facing towards the floor. And you may need to angle the block slightly just to fit this area better. And then use your body weight very simply to apply the pressure.
It's pretty amazing, actually, just by being here, what you'll notice. At first, you feel the rigidity, and then in a very short time, you're going to feel everything kind of just flattening out.
Mm-hmm.
So you can roll left to right, nice and slow. Lots of people like to bring their feet up just so that they have their whole weight right there, but play around and just get those sensations. This is such a confused area, the hand and the wrist. This whole complex, the forearm, it's quite intricate to allow us to be so articulate with our hands. And they get all jammed up. A lot of people have something called Dupuytren's contracture, where they end up with a curled hand, arthritis in the hands. This is going to be amazing to improve that flow. Carpal tunnel syndrome, we're pretty much directly on the pain site for carpal tunnel syndrome. And you can see with Quinn's nice belly breath here how strong his diaphragm is. If you don't know if you're breathing right, place your left hand on top of your belly and you should feel the belly rising. Think pregnant belly. It is so counterintuitive in our society to let that belly go and be big, because we're all holding our belly in to keep it nice and flat, but that actually causes the diaphragm to weaken, causing the collapse of the rib cage and the ballooning. So that holding the belly in will actually make you bigger over time. By working this muscle, you now have control. And the bigger you can make your belly, the smaller you can make your belly. So when you have control of that muscle, you can do whatever you want. Are things starting to flatten out in that wrist of yours?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Let's just take 3 more exhalations here. So now we just want to lift up, and we want to have basically the palm of the hand on the block. So you can just slide the block a little bit lower, and then the palm right there. Yeah. And personally for me, I like having the block straight across, but again, do whatever you need to feel comfortable and like you're getting the work here. So again, just notice when you first put your weight there, what feels like it's being held, and then again, notice over time how those bones seem to flatten out and everything becomes like a pancake. So especially for you, if you feel that you're often clenched with your fists, let's make this a point for you to do this on a regular basis, because that, no matter what you're doing up here, that's going to continue to pull your upper arm, your shoulder out of alignment and cause a lot of tension in the upper back and the neck and the jaw. It will create headaches. We'll spend 1 more minute here. So you can work the palm, you can even move your body so you're getting a little bit onto this thumb pad. It's called the thenar muscle. We want that to be nice and broad and flat. For lots of people, it's really sucked into the hand. That's an indicator of what's going on in the shoulder. So when we can pull that muscle out, that helps as well to align your shoulder and open things up. And now let's just lift up, and let's just move now the fingers onto the block. So really you could spend a half an hour on this whole thing, but again, for the sake of time, you could get onto each finger individually, including the thumb, but let's just roll around a little bit and just feel those fingers flattening out, straightening out.
This is the most intense.
Ah, nice. Is there a finger that's the most painful?
My middle.
Your middle one?
I wonder why.
much.
Or not enough.
Okay, let's do 3 more exhalations here.
This is intense.
Mm.
I'm feeling it going all the way up. I actually feel it in my pec.
Ah. Well, this will be a nice test with your neck to see how much release you get.
No kidding.
So now from here, let's just lift the pelvis up and switch hands, and we'll start on that left wrist. So be about there. How's that right hand feel?
Oh, it feels great now. Yeah, wow, that was intense.
Yeah, let's everyone place your right hand on your belly and feel that belly rise up nice and big. Let's even now see if we can change it up. So we're going to inhale for a count of 6, exhale for a count of 4. And what is so beautiful that's happening when we're breathing this way is this diaphragm muscle is moving up and down in the body, creating an internal massage for the organs. You got your stomach, your pancreas, liver, gallbladder. In the back, you've got your kidneys, adrenal glands. The diaphragm is the ceiling to all of that, and the floor to the heart and the lungs. So when you're breathing properly, this whole area is getting an internal, consistent massage, which is a wonderful thing because that, again, promotes blood and oxygen flow and cleaning of cells. So all of those organs will do much better at their job when they're properly fed and clean. We'll take 3 more exhalations in this position on the wrist. And now let's just lift up and move it from the wrist to the palm of the hand. So you'll just slide the block down. Are they similar, the hands, or do they feel different?
No, the right hand was more painful than the left hand, but the left wrist was more painful than the right wrist.
Mm.
But again, that could be because of the fracture.
Mm-hmm.
This hand feels more gluey though. My right hand felt like there was more of like an arch in it that I needed to flatten out. This one feels flatter, but I can feel the thenar muscle is more dense. Yeah, there's just more density almost.
Because you're right-handed, so
correct.
That's more open and spacious, yes. that whole left side on people who are right-handed typically. Of course, there's always variations to this, but as a general rule, the left side is going to be more compressed and more dense because we keep that right side more mobile. And again, we want to realize that the heart is toward the left side. So when we're creating that much more tension and pressure on the left side, we're directly affecting the heart. So to be able to take that left shoulder joint and that left arm and that left hand out and more spacious, we take stress off of the heart. 3 more exhalations here.
Now the left hand's way more painful.
And that's the cool thing about melting too, is sometimes it becomes more painful because you're melting to the older stuff that needs to melt.
Yeah, I noticed that in the hip flexors. As soon as I jump on, you're like, oh, there's not really any pain. You wait 30 seconds, a minute, and then it starts really sinking and getting deep.
Now let's just lift up and move so that the fingers are on the block. And lots of people might have arthritis just in one joint. If you do, try to target that finger and just let your body weight in the block do the work, melting through those adhesions. That's why we have pain. We have a buildup of fascia that blocks that blood and oxygen flow. So when we start melting it, everything starts to flow better and move better and release. We're just going to spend 1 more minute here. For the last couple breaths, make your belly as big as you can and hold it. Pregnant belly.
Why are you laughing?
Don't know.
It's impressive how big I can make it.
I can make myself look 9 months pregnant.
Pregnant belly off. Here we go.
And when you're ready, just lift the pelvis up, take the block out, roll over to one side, and use your top hand to assist you as you exhale up. Okay, so now that you've opened up those hands, how does that feel in general? To the upper body, the shoulders, the neck.
Oh, I can just rotate so much more.
Yeah?
I feel a lot more open, yeah.
Okay. So one last thing we're going to be doing is the back of the neck, but before we do that, I just want you to not think about your tongue, not think about your ribcage alignment, just however you're sitting. I just want you to take your head over to the left, go to the fullest range that you can, feel where the pain stops you or if there is any pain, and also feel the quality of the rotation if it's grinding. And then let's take the head slowly over to the right and feel the same thing. And now we're going to do the back of the neck.
All right.
All right.
So we'll just lay on our back. And the block will be on its side. And then try keeping the block stable and then come on top of the block. I used to have it angled a lot like this, but I found more of a benefit when I can come more so on top. When you are on top, you're going to feel more of the rib cage coming off of the floor or just in that direction.
And if you feel you need to hold it, that's totally fine as well. So to begin with, very, very slightly tuck the chin, just a little bit, align your tongue, move the head into the block, and as you do, see if you can lift the ribs up off the floor. Now let your ribs fall just so people can see. There we go. Okay, so now lift up again. And don't be frustrated if you can't lift those ribs up, just intend to go that way. And to start with, we're very slowly going to rotate the head to the left. And as you start turning, you're gonna land on a thick ball of pain. Stop there. You found it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. Stop there, and this is an iceberg, and we're gonna melt it. So let's just stay here for a few breaths. Imagining this iceberg melting. Every time you take that full inhalation, imagine that you're breathing fire on this big ice cube and it's starting to melt. And feel it soften under the block. And smile. If at any time you feel you need to let the ribs go down and rest, follow what you need to do. But if you can stay up, awesome. Now let's very slowly turn the head a little bit more until you find that next area of pain. We want the back of the neck to be long. Again, when we collapse, everything gets sucked in to the joint space and we lose that space inside, and that affects flow. So as we work to lengthen the back of the neck, we're creating all this space so all of the nerves, the spinal cord, the lymph nodes, everything in this area can be properly fed. Now let's very slowly migrate back to that first area of pain. We'll stay there for another few breaths. Continue to focus on that alignment of the tongue, pushing the head into the block, lengthening the back of the head a little more by tucking the chin. And then complete turning your head back to neutral and let your ribs rest for a moment. And just enjoy the sensation of this restful place. Again, let's slightly tuck the chin, align the tongue, push the neck into the block, lift up the rib cage, and maintaining that pressure, very slowly take your head to the right till you find that first ball of pain. And now this is an iceberg we're going to melt, so visualize that melting process with your breath. Let's take the head a little more to the right. Respect your limits if you need to rest before we come back. But let's start to slowly migrate back now to neutral, stopping at that first pain point. Stay there for a few breaths again. With every breath, feel it becoming smaller and smaller. And then slowly migrate back to that neutral position and just let the rib cage release. Now let's remove the block. Just take it out from the back of your neck. Oh, I can't talk anymore. And let's bring the hands to the side. Now again, let's tuck the chin. Push the head into the floor. Use that tongue muscle and feel the muscles in the back of the neck strengthening, activating as you push into the floor. Now let's roll the shoulder blades toward the floor. And then let's pull the hands toward the feet. Create as much length between your ears and your shoulders as possible. So again, tuck the chin, align the tongue, push the head into the floor, roll the shoulders toward the floor, and move the hands toward the feet. And one last time, tuck the chin, align the tongue, head toward the floor, shoulders toward the floor, hands toward the feet. We'll take 5 more full exhalations here. Cement this new alignment into your neck. And then just let it all go. Wherever falls, relax, release, let your legs be where they are. And let's just take 3 more relaxed, full breaths here. And when you're ready, roll over to your right side and use your top hand to assist you as you exhale up. And before I ask you how you are, let's just check in now. Let's connect the proper rib alignment, align the tongue, and now let's take your head to the left. Notice any change. Take it over to the right. Come back to neutral. How do you feel?
So calm. And a lot more range of motion.
Bring your arms up to the ceiling and see how you feel with that, with your shoulders and all that. Feel nice?
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a good class.
Awesome.
Might be a new favorite.
That will be uploaded into our Block Therapy members, www.blocktherapymembers.com by tomorrow. Next month, on March the 28th at 7 p.m. Central, we're going to be doing a class to treat your knees. So again, that's going to be a really fun class. You're going to be doing some different stuff than we've ever done before, and that's the beauty of these classes. We're always inventing more ways to play with the block. So thank you so much. We're always happy when you join us, and we'll see you next month.